It took us more than 3 years to establish contact and to convince the leadership of the Oromo Liberation Front OLF to allow NTV access to their operations. For more than 30 years of its existence, the OLF has evaded the glance, let alone scrutiny, of the media. Their operations have for decades been shadowy and its leadership faceless. From Nairobi, we set off northwards on a long journey through Kenya's rugged and hostility-prone districts of Isiolo, Marsabit and finally the border district of Moyale. In this northern half of Kenya, the name OLF is often associated with the insecurity and brutal clan killings that are rather frequent in this part of the country. The morning of 12th July 2005, 60 people are killed by armed men in the infamous Turbi massacre in Marsabit district when two Kenyan clans turned on each other. Fingers pointed in the direction of the OLF militia.
The fact the OLF has been operating out of here. Over the last 15 years, it has changed the focus of local people.
The alleged OLF link to the Turbi massacre was never independently ascertained, but the message was clear to Kenyans, especially those living along the Kenya-Ethiopia border.
Across borders, there may be people who actually have the same philosophical attribute with the different groupings, and not in particular the whole OLF as we know it. So conflicts have that transnational element, and definitely Kenya is affected, whether it's in the case of the whole concept of security, backings, and also the proliferation of arms.
Ethiopia has a population of about 80 million people. The Oromo, who occupy the southern part of the country, comprise about half the population of the country. The northern part of Ethiopia is occupied by the Amharas and the Tigrians, while the eastern part of the country, known as Ogaden, is home to a sizable population of Somalis. The OLF was founded in the early 70s to champion the cause of self-determination for the ethnic Oromo region of Oromia. In 1991, the OLF teamed up with other rebel movements, including Meles Zenawi's Ethiopia People's Liberation Front EPLF and Isaias Afewerki's Tigrian People's Liberation Front, in national rebellion that resulted in the overthrow of Marxist dictator Mengistu Haile Mariam. But the victory in Addis Ababa was shortly followed by a fallout in the movement that saw the OLF quit the Meles Zenawi-led transitional government. And ever since, the OLF has been fighting a low-key guerrilla war against the Zenawi administration. But it has not been easy to quantify the strength of the OLF. Some analysts say the OLF is today largely seen as a depleted outfit, weakened by internal differences among its leaders. Over the years, little has been established about the leadership of the OLF. This is a military footage of the current OLF leader, General Kamal Gelchu, seen here going into exile in Eritrea in 2005 after deserting the Ethiopian army together with 600 soldiers. The OLF National Congress, a political body that dictates the ideological and political guidelines, is also based in Eritrea, Ethiopia's bitter rival and breakaway nation. The armed activities of the OLF are mainly concentrated on the southern part of Ethiopia and often along the Kenya-Ethiopia border. Our long journey north towards the Kenya-Ethiopia border took 2 days. It is a journey we chose to make after concluding that entering the OLF rebel territory through the capital Addis Ababa was not an option. The Ethiopian government has over the years restricted entry to the conflict zone, and no journalists or news media is known to have ever set foot on the OLF-controlled areas. And so we proceeded on a journey to the unknown. The OLF leadership had seemingly agreed to open up at last. In the direction of our journey, orders came from Eritrea, the US and the front line where the OLF leaders operated, and we had to follow them to the letter. An OLF linkman was to wait for us at a remote border point. After 2 days on the road, we arrived at a sleepy border village in the east of the vast Moyale district, worn out by the long trip. 4 linkmen had been waiting for us all day. There had reportedly been fierce fighting between the OLF and Ethiopian government troops that day, and it was way too dangerous to embark on our journey into the front line on the night of our arrival. Our night was therefore to be spent at this dingy room in the border village. There was no knowing when we'll be leaving for the front line. Our linkmen wouldn't tell us. We were woken up before dawn. We had hardly slept because of the anticipation. Our OLF linkmen had decided that this was a safe time to venture further into the interior. An old rickety Land Rover was to take us as close to the front line as possible. With the fighting ongoing on the front line, we were heading to the unknown.